Hi everyone! Since my last episode, I have finished scraping the paint off of the angle iron for the engine mounts, although I did leave paint on top of two of the pieces of angle iron because they looked okay, they weren't rusty. But this week I am going to be cleaning out my deep freezer. I wanted to take this opportunity to show you how I do that, and also to show you my setup for refrigerating and freezing food on the boat, and what my plans are for keeping this system sustainable after I leave the dock. The best place for my freezer is here in the cockpit because it doesn't fit in my cabin, but I'd still like to be able to reach it from just inside the companionway in case I want to grab some ice cream or something. Although I have an insulating cover, it's not waterproof, so water manages to get around the edges, and over time it accumulates in the freezer. So I use this old hatch cover when it's not on the hatch, and I put it right here just to cover the back, because my Dodger right here, it ends right here. So this part isn't going to get any water in it, but it's just the back part here. So when I cover this, it does a pretty good job at keeping the rainwater out. Still, however, the smallest amount of water does accumulate over a long time. So every few months, I will still get a lot of frost on the inside walls and have some ice in the bottom, and that's when I need to clean it out. As you can see, it does look kind of gross in there. I turned it off overnight because all this down here, all this water was a huge block of ice and everything was frozen into it. So now that it's all melted, I can remove all the food. And of course, I will be throwing away all of this food. Luckily, the freezer was nowhere near full. Well, I might keep some. I'll still see if it's still good. It was nowhere near full, so I don't have to waste a huge amount of food. I don't even know what that is. Oh, I think they're like breakfast patties or something like that. Anyway, we're gonna get rid of all that. I could totally keep this. This is sealed. This is taro root. I was using it for my smoothies last summer. So this is the keep pile over here. Old fruit, not that much. It can go. Okay, so now we just got ice and water, potato latkes, all this frozen fruit can go. We've got a bag here, trash bag, and I'll just put all this stuff inside it, and we will take this out to the trash. This might be good. We'll take it out to the trash before any of these wet things melt through all this paper. There we go. All right. So now I'm going to put some water in here to get all of this stuff loose, and then I'm going to dump the water over the side of the boat. don't have anything to put in the freezer right now except ice packs from the fridge and my newly filled ice cube tray, but I can't wait to go buy some Haagen-Dazs ice cream to eat after dinner tonight. Someday I might also want to install a compressor in the icebox, because then I won't have to use any ice packs in the icebox, and that means that they won't have to take up any of the precious little space that I have in my freezer, and that will be especially important for long passages. Right now I line the bottom of my icebox with 6 blue ice packs and keep another 6 in the freezer. That way, after about 3 days, I can rotate them out. So I'm going to take half the ice packs and put them in the freezer, and I'm going to keep the other half back in the ice box, so that once these are frozen and those are ready to be changed out, I'll have some freshly frozen ice packs. And I'm going to put some of the condiments and bottled tonic water back in the ice box. And lastly, I'm going to refill the ice cube tray. I will have some nice ice water with lemon tonight, since I have a nice fresh lemon in my food hammock. Now it's time to turn the freezer back on. So out here I'm using an AC power cord routed down into the port lazarette where I have an outlet. When I'm offshore, I will need to use a DC power cord and have it go into this DC outlet right here. And my freezer came with a DC power cord, but I don't know where it is right now, but I'm sure it won't be too much of an issue to order a new one from Isotherm, so that I can plug it into my DC outlet. And I like to set it at negative, right now it's 27 degrees. I like to set the temperature at negative 22. So it's super cold. It's a deep freezer. It's a great freezer. And then now I'll put the hatch cover on to keep the water from getting in. So this is my setup. I don't have a lot of space, but it's enough to fill my needs for right now. I am using an Isotherm Travel Box 31 liters, and it has lasted me quite a long time. I used it on my Vancouver Island trip in the summer of 2019. Since I had a standard lead-acid house battery that I had trouble keeping topped up with my current solar setup at the time, I realized that I could not keep that fridge on constantly, and I abandoned the idea a couple weeks into my trip of using that to keep my food cold. So I switched over to canned and non-perishable foods for the rest of the trip when I wasn't eating out. In the future though, I would like to have the ability to run the freezer on my boat when I'm offshore. That's why I'm planning to get a LIFE PO4 lithium house bank for my boat. Since lithium has a much greater usable capacity than lead acid, and it charges better using solar panels and it charges faster, I'm confident that this will give me the power I need to run my freezer after I've left the dock. And I'm currently in the process of designing a Victron Energy display at work, and I'm learning a lot about it, and I just can't help but think about how I'm going to apply all of this knowledge to my future electrical system. So stay tuned for a near future episode on our Victron Energy display at Fisheries Supply that we're going to be using to power all of our display electronics. Although I'm doing a lot of the planning and reading through all of the manuals to make sure that we install everything right, in general, it is going to be quite an exciting team project. Stay tuned for next week when I put the OSFO on the angle iron for my engine mounts and lift the engine and prepare the surface of the engine bed for the sealant. Have a great week.